Hello students, so today we'll be discussing about classes and objects in C++. This is from the fourth chapter, right? So what is class? Now class is a user-defined data type. So it is used to implement an abstract object or an entity, right? So we have different types of data types. So class also comes under that category. So it's a user defined data type. So there are like the predefined or built-in data types, which you have like the integer, float, character, boolean and such. So but not all of these data types can relate with the real world examples, right? So the data types are very much limited. So when we do programs, then when we do programs, then there are some objects, there are some things which needs to be defined more clearly. So for that purpose, user defined data types are used. So you have seen that we have used arrays, we have used structures also. So similarly, uh, from structured programming, this classes and object derived, right? So if you see the format of the structure program and the class program, later on you'll see that it is very much similar, right? Except that in the class, the the members or the variables are publicly accessible, but in a class the members have different types of access specifications like public, private, protected and so on, which we shall see all later on, right? So just remember that class is a user defined data type. It is also a data type, but it is user defined, and it is used to implement or to create an abstract object, all right, or an entity. So that means a concept of the real world object. So it is a collection of data related to a real world object type, right? So now examples of classes can be as students, animal, customer, employee, fruits, vehicles, etc. Because from this from this class we can derive more students, means like we can individually pick out on the students, like student, right? Or animal, we can classify the animal into different uh, categories. We can classify the vehicles into different categories, like a bus, car, jeep, right? Like that. So now how do we declare a class? So a class is declared using the keyword class followed by the class name. So now class encapsulates and defines the data members and member functions of the object. So using this class we can define the data members and the member functions of the object, right? So it encapsulates, it wraps up the data members, it collects and then it contains the data members and the member functions of that object. So what is data members and member functions? All right, we shall see in the next slides. So now the format for the class declaration is, you can see that class name, right? So this class name is actually the user defined data type. So this class is a keyword and this is the user defined data type. And always in a class name, so since a class name is a user defined data type, it can be also be sometimes mistaken to be a variable also. So in order to differentiate uh, that, the class name is the first alphabet of the class name is uppercase, is in capital letter. So anything that is enclosed within these braces, that is this and here, opening and closing braces, these are the members of the class, or these are the members that belongs to the class object. So in the class declaration you will see that these are access specifiers: private, public, protected. So we use three types of access specifiers followed by the colon. So uh, this we shall see later on, all right? So based on this, the data members and member functions access can be met. Can it be, whether it will be private or public or protected. So the data members, these are the object variables, the variables for the object, and then the member functions, these functions that it acts on the data members. So a class declaration looks like this, and then it is terminated by a semicolon. Now what is an object? So an object is an individual instance of a class. So one object represents an individual instance or an example for a class. So class is your logical representation, and object is the physical representation, the actual representation of the class, right? So now it is a real world entity defined by a class. So an object contains variables, or they also called as data members, or it is also called as attributes. All right. So uh, and methods, which are also called as member functions, through which individual object of a class can be uniquely identified. So every object, so using a class, you can create as many objects as you want. So every object can be identified, or all right. So based on its different data members and its member functions. So now here example, a class animal can create objects such as dog, cat, right? A class fruits basket can create objects such as mango, apple, grapes, so on. So this represents one object, this represents one object, and this represents another object. So here if you see in this class declaration, you will see that the class name is fruit basket, which is a user defined data type, right? So as you can see that the starting alphabet starts with a uh, uppercase. Then here the data members are made private. That means these data members or these variables is accessible only within this class, declaration. All right. So that means only the member function can access these private data members. So here you can see that the all the members has its own data type: character, fruit name, character, shape, float, price, and the member functions are made public. So this is the member function through which it can access the members of the class. So now here you can see that in the main function, using the class name, an object is declared, or an object is created. So the fruit is actually an object, so declares an object fruit. So using the class name, alright, using the class name, it tells the compiler that this fruit is an object which belongs to the class fruit basket. So that way a link will be established between the object and then the class name fruit basket, and then the members. So this fruit, the members, all right, is and relationship is established, like fruit. What is the fruit name? What is the shape of the fruit? What is the price of the fruit? And then how then the member functions can get access to that. Okay, once you get the price, you can calculate the price, and then you can display all the details: the fruit name, suppose like mango, what is the shape, what is the price of the mango, like that, right? So you can declare many objects of type class. Okay. So now what are members? So the members that we have seen just now, these data members and member functions. So a class has two type of members called as data members and member functions. So data members, which are also called as attributes, are variables which define the qualities of an object of that class. So the attributes or the data members actually define the qualities of an object, that is the state behavior of that object, right? So using the attributes, all right, we get to know about what type of character an object contains, right? So like suppose like mango, the shape of the mango, the price of the mango, or the name of that particular object, like that, right? So member functions are functions that acts on the data members. So using the member function, we can execute on the data members of that particular object. Now accessing the class members. So how do we access the class members? So class members can be accessed using the dot operator through the class object or other classes if the members are made public, but or through the member functions if the members are made private or protected. All right, so only if the data members are public, then the class object or the other classes or other objects can access the data members. But if it is private or protected, only the member functions can access the data members. So here you can see the syntax, that is object name dot public data member name, right? So if the data member is public, then the object can access it in this format, like this is the object name fruit dot operator, then this is the member, that is the variable name, all right, fruit underscore name equals to mango. So mango is assigned to the members fruit underscore name. Now keep in mind that the object is also actually a variable. The way you are declaring a variable here, you are declaring a variable or an object using user defined data type. So only when you declare a variable, the compiler actually allocates memory space for this object and the members, right? Then only you can store the data in these members. So this object is actually another name for a variable in this class as an object, right? So this variable is declared using a user defined data type, that is fruits basket. So here you can see that the variable is assigned the value mango to this variable or to this members fruits underscore num, right? So this actually tells the using dot operator, it actually assigns the object members with this value mango. Similarly, you can assign the you can access the member functions also using the object name, that is fruit dot display underscore details. So this is the member function name, all right? So these ways, there are many other ways through which you can access the class members, okay, which will be discussed when we go through the programs, right? So now how do you declare the member functions? Now the member functions can be declared in two ways, that is inside the class declaration or outside the class using the scope resolution operator, that is these four dots, right? Now inside the class declaration, member functions can be declared inside the class within the braces, that is within this opening and closing braces. So when declared inside the class, it is same as function prototype declaration, and hence no prototype declaration is needed for the program. So that is like function declaration only. So here in the it's the same, all right, but here you can see that unlike the previous program, you can see that here you are declaring the function prototype, that is you are declaring the function as a prototype, right? So telling the compiler that this is the function name, this is the return type, and it accepts no parameter, all right? So in the case of this member function, you can see that this is a function definition, all right? So in the case of this is function definition. So here what happened is, for this particular function, you don't need to declare a prototype, because here inside the class declaration only, you are declaring the function at the same time, and then the function body is executed in this class declaration, right? So when you are defining the function, okay, when you are defining the function inside the class, then there is no need for this function prototype declaration, all right? So this is actually the function definition, right? So you are declaring it and also defining it inside the function body inside the class declaration. So this is one way of declaring the member function inside the class declaration, all right, or the class definition. And outside the class declaration using the scope resolution operator. So when you declare it outside the class, the following task needs to be performed, that is member function prototype must be declared inside the class declaration, that is like in this format, right? So the member functions should be uh, declared inside the class declaration as a prototype. So it's telling the compiler that okay, this is the function name, this is the return type, all right, and this function is going to be used in the program, okay, outside of the class declaration. So bind the member functions to the class it belongs using the scope resolution operator. So here you can see that the syntax: return type class name, the scope resolution operator, member function name, and then if any arguments, and then the function body. So here the functions are declared here as prototype. So now when you need to execute, when you need to define this function, that is the function definition for this, or the function body for this particular function, then you can see that outside of the class declaration, okay, so here you can see that the format, that is the return type, that is void, the class name, that is fruits basket, the scope resolution operator, the member function name, that is calculate price. All right, so here what it actually tells is, what the scope resolution does is, this is telling the compiler that this member function belongs to the class fruit basket. All right, and then to execute the function body of this member function, so this will execute the member function body. All right, so using the scope resolution operator, we can, when we do not define the member functions inside the class, then we can define it outside the class, all right, using the scope resolution operator. So not all the functions need to be defined in the class, because so as the program length keeps on increasing, you will see that most of the member functions has to be declared outside the class using the scope resolution operator, right? So in the next video we shall see some programs on these classes and objects, right? So go through this video, okay, try to understand the concept of the classes and object, and then the data members, member functions, all right, and then the accessing the member functions, all right, through inside the class declaration and outside the class declaration using the scope resolution operator, right?